Chris Caffery, you are releasing your debut solo album in a few weeks. Is this something you've planned for a long time, or is it just to fill the gap between Savatage records?
I think finding something that I could do long term without having to rely on Savatage was something that I planned on. Because I saw, as years went on, like Savatage did one record in the last 6 years, released one. And I saw that time start to develop, that space, and I wanted to have something to do. I had no idea that I was going to be looking into singing until I actually started to write a lot, and then I started to put my own vocal ideas down. And eventually I kind of acted like an A&R guy from a record company and thought that there was something pretty interesting in my voice and the different things I could do with it. And I wrote 65 songs when I was writing for this record, and it was an 18-month period, and it was in the midst of that I really felt that it was the right thing for me to do, to sing it.
So you haven't actually been singing before, except for backing vocals, of course?
But I noticed my voice getting a lot better as I sung background vocals. When I was young, I wanted to sing, but I was a fan of amazing singers, and I worked with some amazing singers. So when you would go and step up to a mic, sometimes you would crack and you wouldn't hear yourself the way you'd want to, so you got discouraged by it and walked away. The one thing I was able to do with my computer studio was to go back and try something over again without anybody around, not caring what it sounded like. So if I cracked, the only thing I've heard it was me or my cat. So it was easy for me to sit there and find what I could or couldn't do, and eventually it started to get really good.
Will you say that you've been influenced as a vocalist from other singers, or did you just develop your voice on your own?
I've actually been very influenced by a lot of, as many as I have guitar players. I mean, I love great singers. I loved people like Bruce Dickinson and Ronnie Dio, and of course working with John Oliva. He's probably my favorite true heavy metal singer. I would just listen to the way people sang lines and words and put that in. I mean, I love singers with great clean voices like Steve Walsh or the guy in Boston. I just liked singers. I always wanted to do it. I just didn't think I could until I really got into it.
Is it easy for you to make melody lines for the vocals as easy as it is to write, to make a guitar solo or a guitar riff?
I think like anything else, it gets easier as you do it, and I think they're getting better as I do it more. I know I just finished this and I haven't released it yet, but I'm very anxious to go and write again for the next CD, because now I'm a little bit more confident and I've opened my ears up as a writer a little bit more. When you're a guitar player, a lot of times you're writing a guitar riff, and I would talk to singers sometimes and they'd be like, look, that riff is really difficult to sing over. And you didn't really understand that until you went in and tried to sing over some of your riffs, and the way I write now is a lot different. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with the next 98 songs I write.
Did you ever consider to release an instrumental album, a guitar album?
I did, but I think that there's so many great guitar players, and I don't really have the desire to go out there and in a competitive way and do the guitar player routine. I really just enjoy playing rock music, and I didn't want to get stuck doing just that, because I think that I have more inside of me musically than just the guitar. There are a lot of songs that I write, so I figured that I can always put instrumentals on a vocal record, but it's really weird if you put vocals on an instrumental album. So I took it this way, and I think in the future I'll be able to do whatever I want more freely off of this. I mean, if I decide to release a guitar album one day, then it'll be a different thing. But for right now, I needed to say a lot of things emotionally as well as musically.
Do you listen to instrumental albums yourself?
Some of them. I mean, I love the Dixie Dregs. I was a big Steve Morse fan, so you can never get tired of that. And I like a lot more of the weirder music that had a lot of instrumental stuff in it, like the old Zappa stuff and things that were really strange. I was a big fan of of Al Di Meola and Return to Forever. My brother was a drummer, so he listened to a lot of the really progressive jazz records when I was growing up. But when I was first listening to that music, I was 14, 15, 16, and there was no way that I could play it. I just didn't have the abilities at that time, so I was more of a fan in my ears than I was in my hands. I think one day I really want to sit down and get schooled heavily in classical guitar, because that's something I'd like to be able to do much better than I can now when I get older, is to play classical.
When it comes to writing lyrics, is that easy for you? I mean, you're a guitar player now. You did all the lyrics yourself. How was that?
I think the main difference now between the lyrics that I write now and the lyrics that I used to write is I used to write lyrics that I just thought sounded cool. And you might get a little bit too weird for yourself in them. When I was writing this stuff, I wrote lyrics that were saying something that I was feeling, and I think that's the first time that I did that. And as I did it more, it became easier, because it sort of gets like storytelling. And then I found myself writing some songs full of lyrics before I even wrote the songs, which I never did a lot of in my life. And there was a lot of things going through my head. I mean, I watched my years from 30 to 36 go by like it was a minute, and then you're looking in the mirror and you're going, God, well, what's going to happen if Savatage does one record in the next 6 years? I'm going to be in my 40s, and I didn't want to have that time fly by without leaving music. I mean, you basically were looking at a whole entire decade between the age of 30 and 40, in that case, with maybe 1 or 2 record tours with your heavy metal band, and that's the time you should be playing. I didn't want to tour heavy metal heavily when I'm an old guy. I wanted to do it when I watched 6 really important years of my life fly by, and I was getting upset about it, but in the end, I mean, Savatage gave me my career and let me live a lot of my dreams as a person and a guitar player, so I didn't want to have any negative energy towards that situation. I love my band, and when it's going to play again, I'll be there and ready for it, but I needed to get Chris Caffery out of the house and on the road, and through this record, I found myself again musically and was able to do that.
Your album is called Faces. It's actually a double album, there's a bonus CD called Goddamn War. Did you release 2 CDs or that bonus CD because you had so much material? I had that much material, and there definitely was, when I was trying to narrow this down to one CD, there was songs on the War CD that were going to be on the CD if there was just one. Songs like Sodomize and Edge of Darkness and Peace Be With You, these were songs that were on a CD if it was just one CD. And I couldn't, for the life of me, get the CD down below 20 songs. I was trying, and I couldn't find ones I wanted to leave out. But what I did find is I had a lot of pretty straightforward heavy metal songs that were about war and politics. So I just called my label and I said, look, can I do something similar to what Iced Earth did with Gettysburg and packaging, and just have a bonus CD, some of this war material, so I don't have to cut down the Faces one. And eventually, in the end, I recorded 14 songs for the war thing, and there were people that said it was too much material and you should release 2 CDs, so I kind of came to a compromise. Instead of releasing 2 or taking the stuff off, I took some stuff off, kept it as a bonus, but I wanted to give this music out for free. I recorded it. I wanted to give it out to the fans as kind of like a thank you. So I put a few songs as a bonus on the first single, and I'm going to have some other stuff available for internet downloads. And then I'm writing some more songs for the War CD, because this war's not over yet. And I figure once I piece the whole war thing together with maybe some computer animation and some other special things, that it's something I would feel better about charging people for. But right now, that wasn't my objective. It was to put just all these faces together, and the goddamn War CD, a lot of that is this heavy metal side of me that is one of a big part of my face, is actually one side that was worth a whole entire CD. You said you wrote a bunch of songs, and just a few of them are on those CDs. What will happen with the rest? Do you just throw them away and start from scratch again for your next album, or will you use that for later albums? I have to really sit down and listen to them. I know there's a lot of them that I definitely like and I think could be good enough to be on the next record, but when it comes time to record the next record, I have to sit down and listen to them and see what I've written that's new and kind of put everything through the test again.
You know, I don't know exactly what will make it. There's a reason why these ones did and those didn't, but I'll have to see if those ones that are left will make it. There are a few that I definitely feel will be there. And then actually a couple of them that were really, really, really strong that I didn't put on purpose because I wanted to leave a couple things that, you know, could build for the next record too, that were written in the same head, but maybe a metal song that was a little bit more like, way more intricate musically, and I wanted to leave places to go with it also. I didn't want to do everything I could do on CD number 1 and 1.5.
Did you ever think that you had to distance from Savatage music to sound different, or didn't you bother at all?
I really wasn't writing this stuff for Savatage, so I think that's how, I mean, you hear the similarities, but you're not going to ever not have me sound somewhat like Savatage. It's been too big of a part of my life, but when I was writing for me, I'm a little bit more of a root rock metal guitar player, where my side comes from all different places, but it usually generally winds up on the guitar, and it's, I think, a little bit of the redneck in me comes out in my riffs. You know, I mix the blues and the metal together, and that's kind of where my riffs come through. You know, that's a little bit different than Savatage, and I'm actually happy with the difference in sound, because I think it's something that the Savatage fans and people I've spoken to so far have been happy to hear, because they're not telling me that I sound like, you know, something that would have or should have been on a Savatage record. And that's kind of, I think, an important thing when you're trying to capture something solo, to make sure that you do come up with something individual. And I am letting people see a different side of me than what I do all the time.
Your band on this CD, is that your permanent band, or did you just hire them as session musicians in the studio?
Well, Jeff Plate and I have really similar schedules, and we were actually looking for singers to put something together when I started doing this. And I believe he will be there for anything that I do. And actually, I believe so will Paul Morris, because in the process of getting to know him better, I've known him for a long time, but I bumped into him when I was recording, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him. He came to the studio and listened, and now I've kind of adopted him. Dave Z is the only one that may not be there when the band hits the road, and the only reason for that is that him and his brother have a band, and it's called ZO2, and right now they're opening for Kiss in the United States, and they're doing well. And I had a band with my brother when I was younger, and I know that how important that is to somebody, and I wouldn't want to stop his momentum with that. I have a lot of bass players, friends that have contacted me that I could use. I'm leaving the door open for Dave until the last minute with any touring I do, because I would love to have him there. But if he has something he needs to do with his brother, I don't want to stop them from doing that, because that's a very important part of somebody's life, their family, and I want to make sure that he's fulfilling every bit he can get with that. He's a great kid, and he's a really good bass player. He's a different kind of a person. He does, you know, I don't even think the kid's ever drank in his life. He's just out playing bass and having fun, and he's idolizes Gene Simmons and the fact that he wants to get as many chicks as he had. I bet that's about his ambition. Yeah, exactly.
Have you played any of the tracks for the rest of the guys in Savatage? I mean, John Oliva is making his own record now. It could be interesting to hear what the guys think about your album.
John heard my demos, which in some ways I think even influenced what John was doing on his solo record, because once John heard my demos, his solo record went from something that was all Beatlesque to something that was a lot heavier than what he'd been doing. But the only people that have heard the finished record so far, I wanted John to hear it, but we never ran into each other at the same time in New York when I had a copy of it on me. Al Petrelli's heard it, and he was really happy with it. He was very, very happy to hear it. He heard a lot of the demo stuff, so when he listened to the record, he and his wife were really happy to hear it. And Damon Janaya had heard a bunch of the stuff, and I got excited when I watched his reaction, because Damon's a younger kid, and he has a very odd taste of music, and he was listening to a lot of these songs that I think this is the reaction that I've been getting off this music that excites me the most, is there's a lot of people I talk to that think that this stuff can go to an audience that Savatage didn't get to, because there's a lot more normal, you know, just regular rock and metal songs on it. And I think that there's a potential for this thing to go to some interesting places. And of course, Jeff had played on it and we liked it. Johnny hasn't heard anything since the demos, but Paul O'Neill heard it and he was very impressed with the singing more than anything. I think that kind of surprises a lot of people.
Do you still get offers from other bands? I mean, you've had several offers during your career, and you've been involved with different bands. But do you still have those offers?
I get them, but a lot of the times people want you to be the guitar player in their band. So they know I'm in Savatage, they know I'm in TSO, and now that they know I'm my solo record, I think everybody's pretty much going to imagine that I'm going to be too busy to do anything else. I'll still get them and receive calls from people, but I'm not leaving Savatage and I'm not leaving TSO, and I'm looking forward to getting out and being myself with this stuff. So I'm really not looking right now. My book is pretty much closed to even considering any other offers right now. And I'm happy enough with where I am. And I found that happiness again through this music. And you know, when Savatage is going to play, I'll be there, and TSO plays every year, and I'll be there. And when that's not working, I'm going to be plenty busy enough with this.
Will you have time to bring your own band on the road before the TSO concert starts in the end of the year?
I'm trying to get some stuff at the end of September, October, but I have a very limited time before rehearsals start. My record doesn't come out till the 24th. Rehearsals start October 15th. And being it's the first time I'm touring with me singing, I want people to have this record for a little bit before they see me live. I don't want to run out there and have people that are just getting it or may have not gotten it yet. So I think I'm going to do a week in Greece in the beginning of October, and maybe a couple shows in Europe, but I'm going to hit the road at the end of January for an extended period of time here and then come back for the festivals in Europe in the summertime.
So when it comes to Savatage, you have no idea when you'll be recording the next album?
I really don't know. I mean, that's the one thing that I get asked every day, and I can't answer that. John has put out his record, and he felt it was a time for him to do that. I believe we're planning on doing an anniversary record next year, and I'm hoping that'll get done, and there'll be a tour to follow that, but I don't have any exact dates on anything, and until I do, I really can only answer with I don't know.